Here we have a new 2023 Ford Bronco Sport. This one comes in the Badlands trim level in cyber orange metallic tricoat. And then we have the ebony and rose interior, and that's going to consist of, I think, leather, leatherette, and then a little bit of Alcantara. But the powertrain on this one consists of a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, made it to an 8-speed automatic transmission. And I love this cyber orange. But coming around to the front end here, we do get LED headlamps, LED daytime running lights, and LED fog lights. And the lights don't flash like that. That's just how my camera's picking them up, but just a great look, I think. And the Bronco Sports have grown on me. I didn't like them when they first came out because they came out before the actual Broncos, but starting to love them now. And then we have 17-inch aluminum wheels. Just like how they did the front end, and especially in this orange, it just makes you want to love it. But passive keyless entry on the front doors. Power door lock controls are here. Memory seat functions. Whenever your seat's set up the way you want it, just hold the button. It'll beep at you. And then we have one-touch automatic windows on all 4 doors. Power mirror controls are there. We can turn each side on and off and adjust. And then our rear window lock is right there. A bottle holder here, bigger bottle holder here. We do get a B&O sound system. And then our hood release is here. Just hit that twice. I'm gonna cut the AC vents down a little bit. And then we have our headlamp controls here. That's auto, corners off, and then low beams are all the way on. And we can tap that for the fog lights, brightness for the gauge cluster. And then here we have our lift gate release. But here's our power driver seat with 2-way power lumbar support. And I love the look of the seats. I love the feel of the seats. I just love that brown and black two-tone. Now, if you're interested to see where the parts came from on this, 19% US and Canada, 64% Mexico. Let's check out this rear legroom here. Now, of course, with this one being the baby Bronco and the Bronco Sport, not a ton of legroom back here, but not terrible. And I like how the seat is made. And I love that we have these zippable pockets on both sides as well. And that was a nice touch, putting that kind of orange, whatever that is, in there. Looks like a designer bag or something. But again, on both sides. And then 2 AC vents for the back. If you look down closely, we have 2 USB-C charge ports here, and then a 110 3-prong household plug-in. And then our middle seat folds down. Cup holders are there. And there's a view of the front from back here. Grab handle, we could probably hang 2 plastic hooks if we really need to on there, and then 2 metal hooks, no problem. Let's make our way towards the back. So fuel filler's there. I don't think premium is required, which is good on this engine. Still gonna get plenty of power, I think. But there's a look at the back end there. And taking a look underneath the vehicle. I love the dual exhaust, and a huge shout out to Ford Lincoln of Franklin for allowing me to review this Bronco Sport today. I'll leave a link below to it in the description. But plenty of space behind the second row. Then lift this up, spare tire is there. And I like that we have the side pockets, both sides, that allow you to keep things there without having them slide around. And then we do have a couple hooks here. And you just kind of push that back and hook it on there. So 2 on each side is nice. And we have another 3-prong 110, which is fantastic. Then a 12-volt. Now, one of my favorite features about this is if it's dark or whatever, you hit this, and then watch what I do when I hit the light. So those come on and off if you want to have room to see back here. And then you can also hit this side, and then this allows you to pop the glass if you need to have some 2x4s or whatever hanging out the back. But coming around to the rear passenger side, we can pull this, seat will fold flat there. and pretty easy to lock it back into place. And then to the window sticker here, y'all can pause anywhere you need to take a closer look. But you do get, especially on this Badlands, quite a few coveted options, I think, especially having the off-road suspension and having the capability that this thing has with all of your drive modes. Now this premium package, I could probably live without, honestly, for that kind of money. But sticker's right at $42,960. And this one, of course, this engine's not as fuel efficient as the 1.5 EcoBoost that's offered, but we'll see if it's worth it for the extra power. But front passenger seat, you get power, but no lumbar support here. No big deal, but netted pocket on the side, glove compartment, owner's manuals. I like the size of it. But as we come around back to the front, we're just gonna pop this hood. And there's that 2-liter EcoBoost. Those just close so weird. But anyways, hopping in the driver's seat. We do get a nice leather wrap steering wheel here. I like the thick padding. Not overly thick, but feels just a tad luxurious. Now over here to the screen, that's our home page there. We do get AM, FM, and XM radio along with Bluetooth audio. And then we also have mobile apps that we can use as well. And then over here, sound settings. I kind of adjusted it to get a feel for the B&O system. And the system isn't terrible, I just don't, it's better in surround mode, but something about the Bang & Olufsen sound systems in Ford, I can't get on board with them. But again, that's a personal preference. Now, if you want to go to your general settings, you can adjust your temperature, miles, tire pressure units, and language. You have, I think, French and Spanish for the languages there. Wi-Fi hotspot. So not a ton going on here, but everything you'd need. And backup camera guidelines follow you as you turn the steering wheel. Then down here, auto stop toggle, hazards. Then hit this camera here, and that'll pull up your front camera. And then you can use the volume and mute there. And then unmute, turn the volume back down. You can use this as a tune knob to go through your stations. You can cut the screen off here. It'll take you to that home page. And then you can go to your sound settings with a touch of a button there, which I like that. And it's interesting to have this pocket here, but it's nice that it is here. So if you have a second person's phone or whatever while yours is on the wireless charging pad, they can have room there. And then down here we have our dual zone automatic climate controls, which are part of that premium package. Then we have 3-stage heated seats for the driver, front passenger, and then our heated steering wheel toggle is there. Fan speeds adjusted here. We can pick fan direction here. Close the vents off, AC toggle, defrosters, and then we can cut the whole system off there. And then dual mode, we can cut that on and off there. This fly's getting on my nerves. Now for the shifter, it's a rotary, so just turn, reverse, neutral, drive, and then hit that M, and you can use the paddle shifters behind the steering wheel to shift. And then USB-C, USB-A duo there, 12 volts, and your wireless charging pad, which is part of that premium package, is right here. Electronic parking brake, pull up to engage, hit the brake, press down to disengage, automatic brake hold there. And then we do have our trail control there, our 4-wheel drive differential lock there, rear differential there, and then traction control. And then we can use this knob to go through our 7 drive modes, which include normal, eco, sport, slippery, and then we have the mud ruts, sand, and rock crawl. But normal, eco, and sport are what you'll probably use 99% of the time unless you do take this off-road. Now this is one of my favorite things about this center console space. You get 2 USB-C ports. So great to have those, especially if you want to charge your phone very quickly. Sunglass holder there. Dome lights are there. And then we do have the universal garage door transmitter, which is part of that premium package as well. Now going back to the steering wheel, blinkers are here, and then we can toggle the lane keeping system on and off there. And then high beams, when the headlights are all the way on, toggle those on and off by pushing that back, and you can flash by pushing it forward. And then windshield wiper controls are there. So we have our one time there, this is off, intermittent low, high, and then we can adjust our intermittent wipers here in that mode. And then our rear wipers here, so that's off, intermittent on, and then pull back for the rear wiper fluid, push up for the front wiper fluid. Now over here we have our cruise toggle, and we can set that, cancel, volume controls here, mute there. And then to the right side we have our voice recognition, and then we can go through our track list or radio station presets here, and these are also Bluetooth buttons when we're in the phone setting. And then we can use all this up here to go through our digital part of the gauge cluster. So select screens, you can go in there and decide what you want to have up. So it's nice to have that and be able to set it the way you want to. But there's our push button start. Finally, here is our key fob with remote start. And next, let's go ahead and take this 2-liter eco-boosted Bronco Sport out on the road for a quick test drive. So starting the test drive in this Bronco Sport Badlands, pretty quick. But one thing I find interesting is this reminds me of being behind the wheel of my Mach-E, just from how the steering wheel's set up, the screen is, but mostly where that hood is. The hood is right in my face, and it looks great, especially in this orange, but it's just probably more intrusive than most people would want in a vehicle like this. But if you're getting it to use it like a Subaru competitor as it should be used, then that probably won't bother you that much. But I definitely love this 2-liter EcoBoost as opposed to the 1.5 I drove in, I believe that was in Outer Banks a month or so ago. And with the paddle shifters, you can put it in a manual mode and you can actually use it, or you can just all of a sudden start shifting if you want to just start downshifting, and then hold the plus key, and then it'll go back to regular automatic mode. And I did forget to mention the manual tilt telescope handles right here. I'm going to use that. No, you're not supposed to do that while you're driving, but I want to just be able to see a little bit better what's in front of me. But overall, ride quality is pretty good. I like the driving dynamics of the vehicle overall for what it is. Now, like in my Mustang Mach-E, one of the pet peeves I have is having too many rotary shift knobs as opposed to like an actual shifter. So I'll be reaching here, and I did it a few seconds ago. I caught myself grabbing the shifter when I was trying to switch drive modes, but then I caught myself the last second and I was like, yeah, this is the one you're supposed to be in right here. So I want to shift it from normal to sport. And of course it starts to rev a little higher. And when I put my foot down, pulls very nicely. Now I don't want to give it too much throttle with this EcoBoost just because it only has about 17 miles on it. Now the turbo puts in a lot of work, which I like, especially if you're just giving it mid-throttle and all of a sudden you put your foot down a little bit more. You'll feel that turbo usually before you feel the transmission want to shift, which is just great. But I'm going to put it back in the normal mode, and then I'm going to put it in the eco after I get on the interstate. Again, I don't want to drive this thing too hard. But a pretty quick engine, and it really shines when you're putting your foot down as opposed to the 1.5. And the 1.5, in my opinion, is a pretty peppy engine, specifically in this Bronco Sport. But the 2-liter, of course, just takes it to another level. Now for the price point, again, with a premium package, which I don't want to say I wouldn't recommend, but if you're definitely wanting to save all the money you can. I don't think you'll miss it, as opposed to maybe getting some aftermarket speakers or even just the stock system of the Bronco Sport. For the vast majority of people getting this vehicle, it'll probably be more than enough. But for this amount of money, you do get a lot of capability for a small SUV. Of course, you have the 2-liter as opposed to the 1.5. The 8-speed shifts pretty nicely, and then all the tech that you get standard with the Badlands trim is pretty great. But of course, you could probably just get a Jeep Wrangler Sport for a little bit more money. But if you're looking for something like this, again, if you're wanting to get something similar to a comparable Subaru, pretty good option, especially having a 2-liter turbo engine as opposed to the 2.5 naturally aspirated ones that you get in the majority of Subaru's vehicles. And honestly, even the 1.5, now you do get your standard all-wheel drive with the Subarus, but the standard 2.5 that you get in those, I just rather have the 1.5 turbo from this. Now, reliability might be something that might want to be looked at with these turbocharged engines, because it's just one more thing you have to fix having a turbo, but it just depends on what you're wanting to do. Because I always recommend getting a warranty, and this one has a lifetime powertrain, and I believe the turbos are covered under that. Let's give it some throttle here. But again, I love how aggressive and beefy this one sounds as opposed to the 1.5 EcoBoost. It just feels like a V6. From the acceleration to the sound you get. And I forgot to mention the blind spot monitors. Those come in handy as well with a vehicle like this, specifically in traffic like this that you'll probably find yourself in, as you can see sliding up there. But I just like having all this tech here. The only thing that's missing for me is adaptive cruise with lane centering. Now, you do get a lane keeping system here, but it's more of a lane departure as opposed to a lane centering. And I just prefer the lane centering system personally, especially on longer road trips where you're just sitting here cruising. But again, in terms of competition, you have Subaru, I think, to an extent. I think more directly you have the Jeep Cherokee, the Jeep Renegade, those kind of vehicles there. But I think this is a pretty solid option. But again, for the money, maybe you don't need a trim level like this. Maybe the 1.5 is good enough. It's just, it depends on preference. And the great thing about the Bronco Sport is you have plenty of options in terms of how you want to configure your vehicle. And with all that being said, this will bring me to the end of my review of this 2023 Bronco Sport Badlands.